Okay, so Minnesota, man. Okay, so Minnesota now in the middle of George Floyd, the George Floyd or Derek Chauvin trial, there was another fatal shooting of a white officer and a black driver this time. Right, so there was an incident where a driver named Daunte Wright was pulled over. It was a traffic stop. Allegedly, it was because he had air fresheners dangling from his mirror. And we can talk about that.
Really? I didn't know why he got pulled over.
That was allegedly it. I think there was more. I think it gets a little complicated, but there was the reason that they told him he got pulled over. And so the police officers, they pulled him out of the car because they found out he had a warrant out.
Yeah, that's important. He had a warrant, and so then they approached him with multiple officers and got him out of the car.
Yes, so they got him out of the car. They didn't bring him around to the back. By the way, I have a lot of criticisms of how all of them handled this, except for maybe the guy on the other side of the car. Both of the ones that were handling him did this very poorly. But what they did was they got him out of the car. They kept the driver's side door right next to him open, and then they were fiddling around with the handcuffs, trying to get him handcuffed, and he eventually breaks free. He breaks for the seat, and then I'll show you. I actually have the footage pulled up, so let's just watch this for a little bit. And this is CNN. I'm so sorry for subjecting you to this, but you know.
Wright is seen stepping out of his vehicle. Police then tried to take Wright into custody after discovering he has an outstanding warrant. The video shows Wright
breaks away
to resist as cuffs are placed on him.
Amanda, he never got in the cuffs. They were trying to get it on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the audio is a bit garbled. I'm going to go over that for people.
Long story short, yeah. So they've got him up against the side. They're getting ready to put the cuffs on him. They say, hey, we're arresting you for a warrant, whatever. And he at that point decides, oh, fuck this, I'm out. And tries to get in the car and get away. You can see her pull out her gun, which when I first saw this video, I was like, God, what a dumbass. Like, you can't use your gun in this situation. Like, there's other cops right there. There's a lot of shit going on. Like, what are you going to do with your gun, right? I'm sitting there looking at the gun in her video cam like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then you hear her say, stop, or I'm going to tase you. And I'm like,
yes. She said,
you're going to put your gun away and get your taser out? Like, why didn't you just get your taser out?
Right.
And then she's like, taser, and fires. And I'm like, oh, shit. Yep. And you can see her freak out. Like, when she hears that gunshot, you can see her like, what the fuck was, oh my God, I just shot somebody. And like drops the gun on the ground. You can see she drops it. She's like, what the, or maybe did she drop it or holster it? She might have holstered it.
I don't know if she dropped it. It's not in her hand, though.
Yeah, like, and she's like, oh my God, I shot him. Like, it's clear.
Yeah, she says, oh shit, I just shot him. And you can look at the expressions on their face. Yeah. They're both, look at his mouth is open. He's like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah. So I don't know how she didn't know that it was a gun. I don't know. Like, Amanda's asking in chat, like, how did she not know that was a gun? Like, isn't there a weight difference?
That's an operative question.
You know, I don't know. Like, they should be located at different places on the belt. You would imagine that, you know, she's not like a rookie. She's been in the position for a long time. Maybe she got a new belt and put weapons in different places. Like, but you still think she would have realized the gun.
Supposed to be a standard configuration. I don't have the press briefing pulled up, but the police chief testified. He said, we train, we have the taser on one side, on like the left-hand side, and we have pistol on the right-hand side, right? He says they train that standard. So how she messed it up is even more like how did that happen? We don't know. Right. So let me,
it's insane.
We can talk about the fallout in a second. I just want to go over this because I have so many problems with everything that happened here. Right. So number one, like I said before, here's the driver's side door. It's open. He's standing right next to it. That's number one. Number two, look at this weak.
The release footage
like, why are the cuffs not on? Why are the cuffs not on? Why are the cuffs not on? Why are the cuffs not on?
And then,
what are you doing? Get the cuffs like
stepping out of his vehicle.
Okay, now watch this. Okay, so number one.
If you hear him right here, the guy's like, he's resisting a bit. You can, if you listen to the non-CNN version, the guy's like, hey, stop resisting, let me get these on you, basically.
Yeah,
but the guy's been compliant so far, right? Like, I mean, not to say that they did things perfectly, but I don't really put it on them as much for that. Like, he should have taken him farther away to the back of the car. They should have at least shut the door if they were going to leave him there.
Part of my analysis here. Again, as somebody who's had training with keeping positive control, cuffing, all this kind of stuff, like, this stuff really annoys me because this should not have happened. Right? There are several things that went wrong. Again, first thing was that the door was open and he was standing right there. The second one was that he didn't get the cuffs on fast enough. The third was when she came in to help, what the heck? Just watch her hands. What exactly is she contributing to this? Right? Just imagine that you are there to help. You are here to make sure that this suspect doesn't move until the cuffs are on. And watch what she does with her hands.
To take Wright into custody after discovering he has an outstanding
Nothing.
warrant.
Okay? So she doesn't help. He gets in the car, and then she messes up her thing. Right? So obviously, I have an issue with the fact that she doesn't know the difference between the weight of a Glock and a taser. Okay? So many things went wrong here. It was almost all the cops' fault, except for the fact that this guy fled arrest, right? So we can get to that later. But this was so avoidable by everybody. The cop who was cuffing, by her, by him. None of this should have happened. And yet there's riots, right? So I don't know if we want to go into that, but what did you want to say about that?
I mean, I think that I agree with you. There's mistakes made around the board. I think that, as I've said before, we need to focus more on better training and better officers.
Yep.
Not to say that these aren't good officers. I'm just saying in general, that's more the focus.
Maybe they weren't on their best today.
Mistakes are going to have, in any job, in anything, you make a mistake, right? Like the guy getting him out and putting him on the side of the car and not closing the door. That's a mistake. Not getting him cuffed really quickly. It looked like he was struggling. Like he pulled out his cuffs. You thought he had him held a certain way and he didn't. And he was looking at him like, what the fuck? Like things happen like that's to be expected in any job in any day, right? With any training. I'm not saying that, he shouldn't have gotten better training or been better at what he was doing there, but that's generally how things go really bad is several things stack up that shouldn't have happened, but
that's
did.
Why they're trained not to do this. That's why they're trained to put people in the back of the car. That's why they teach positive control techniques. That's why you train putting cuffs on people.
They don't train positive control techniques so your partner doesn't mistake a taser for a gun and shoot him.
Well, they do it so that he can't flee for sure, right?
Yeah.
They can't. Again, like all of this was just a series of cascading failures. I think the least of which was him trying to get the cuffs on. I'm sure that was difficult, but he still should have done it faster. The most egregious of which was fucking mistaking your fully loaded Glock with a taser, which is plastic and yellow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Now,
so let's talk about the riots and stuff. I actually think the riots are ridiculous. Like, this is terrible. The guy getting killed for this is absolutely terrible. There's no excuse for it. But it's clearly not racially driven. It's clearly not abuse of power. Like it's none of these things that these riots are based on. This is an absolutely horrible mistake that should never have happened. And
she's charged with manslaughter.
Yeah,
she is charged with manslaughter.
There's no reason to be writing about this. This isn't like something that you're like, oh, this is a systemic issue that needs to be fixed. Officers are always mistaking their guns for their tasers.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like that's not this is a fucking fluke and a 1 in a million. Like I'm curious, how often do cops pull a taser and tase somebody a year?
I don't even know.
Like,
I don't know.
And when's the last time somebody mistook a taser for a gun? Like it's a 1 in a million, I'm sure, event, and it should never have happened and all that. But at the same time, like it doesn't warrant an uproar. Not that his life isn't valuable, and I mean. Don't take me the wrong way there, but I don't know. Like, I think it's just people looking for reason to get out and be angry about stuff. Like,
well, they're already there for the. They're waiting for the Chauvin trial to end, so they thought they would just go a little early. I'm sure
they need some practice. I'd be up for. I'd be more behind them freaking out over the Nazzaro thing. Like, even though he didn't get killed, like the way that he was treated, I'd be more about them coming out and protesting that.
I know we're going to differ on this one a little bit. We can get into that in a second. I just wanted to show. I mean, I'm just going to scroll a little bit here. I'm not going to zoom in on any of these, but like this is Andy No's Twitter. I like going to him whenever there's riots and stuff, and you can see just generally speaking, there's footage of just everything's on fire, right? And Portland's on fire as usual, but also, this was a person that was beating cops at the police station. Several of the police stations they attempted to burn down. Oh, here's some great parents having their, like tiny child scream at the police. Yeah, so several precincts or at least the precinct, Columbia precinct, I believe, which is where this is. They tried to burn it down. They assaulted it. They've shot at the precincts. They've been rioting, as you can see behind me. Okay, right. So that's a photo from the riots.
Oh, Mary Poppins.
Yeah, no, well, it is. It's just not the one you were expecting. When they pull stuff out of their bag, it's just endless Molotovs.
we're generally going to agree on this one, though. Is bullshit that it happened, should never happen. Insane that it happened. Like, what the fuck? But why are there riots? Like,
right, nobody disagrees with you.
It's clear. There's no contention here. I'd say there's a little bit, but not on the actual event. It's the police chief got fired because he said it was an accidental discharge, which it was. And then another person got fired by saying that she deserves to have
due process.
Yeah.
I think he was actually fired because of the horrible hat that he had on.
So I get where the mayor's coming from. Like, he's not had an easy go of things lately, and he's probably just trying to save as much face as possible. But at the same time, like, you can't be hanging these other people that did nothing wrong.
That's a shitty person right there.
To just appease the crowds there, like neither the police chief nor the other person, in my opinion, did anything wrong in saying, hey, she deserves due process like anybody else. Agreed. Right? We can all look at it and say, yep, she fucked up, and she agreed too. She resigned before she got charged, basically saying, yeah, look, I know I messed up. The police chief even said it was an accidental discharge. It doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve to be prosecuted or punished or anything. It's just saying this is what happened. Like, that's what it was. So yeah, like I said, I don't think there's a lot to say about this one right now, other than people are overreacting, and it's a terrible, terrible thing that happened. And how the hell do you mistake a gun for a taser?